I never thought betrayal could taste like cheap Merlot and stale conference cookies. But there I was, choking it down in front of 30 strangers while my world imploded. Maya, you're out, Derek said, his voice slicing through my pitch like a dull knife, right as I hit slide 12 on our revolutionary AI ethics platform. The room gasped, actual gasps, like we'd stumbled into a bad episode of Shark Tank, but he didn't stop, didn't flinch, just leaned into the mic with that fake-ass CEO swagger. Effective immediately. Security's waiting outside. And here's the kicker. I didn't swing back. Not with words. Not with a USB drive burning a hole in my pocket that could have nuked his entire facade. No. I just stood there, heart hammering like a glitchy algorithm. As the $50 million investor, the one who'd flown in from New York just for this, locked eyes with me across the sea of stunned faces and murmured, low enough that only the front row caught it, I came for Maya. Not this circus. That murmur? It was the spark. The room erupted into whispers, phones buzzing under tables. But I was already gone mentally. At least, plotting the kind of revenge that doesn't end with a lawsuit. It ends with someone waking up in the ruins of their own empire, wondering how the hell they got there. Derek thought he was burying me alive. He had no idea I'd drag him down with me, one calculated shove at a time. It started 6 months earlier, back when things still felt like they could be real. I'd met Derek at a tech mixer in San Francisco. The kind where everyone's nursing overpriced IPAs and pretending not to check LinkedIn on their phones. He was all charm, tall, with that effortless East Coast polish. The guy who could quote Peter Thiel 1 minute and crack a dad joke the next. I was the brains, Maya Reyes, fresh off a PhD in AI ethics from Stanford, bootstrapping an app that promised to audit corporate algorithms for bias before they could screw over the little guy. We clicked over shared rants about big tech's soul-sucking monopolies. 2 weeks later, we were partners. 3 months in, lovers. By month 5, co-founders of Ethicor, with me handling the code and vision, him the schmoozing and spreadsheets. But Derek had secrets, the kind that fester like bad code. I'd caught glimpses early on, late-night calls he brushed off as investor whispers, discrepancies in our seed funding logs that he swore were banking glitches. I let it slide because that's what you do when you're building something bigger than yourself. Love makes you stupid like that. Or maybe I was just tired of being the lone Latina in rooms full of Ivy bros, finally feeling like I belonged. The real poison dropped one rainy Tuesday in our cramped Soma office. I was debugging a neural net when Derek burst in, face pale as overbrewed oat milk. Maya, we got a problem. He shoved his laptop at me, emails from a whistleblower, screenshots of falsified expense reports. Our CFO, some kid we'd poached from Google, had been skimming, rerouting investor cash to offshore accounts. But it wasn't just him. The trail looped back to Derek's sign-offs. Sloppy, desperate sign-offs. Like he'd been funding a gambling habit or worse. We report it, I said, gut twisting. Full audit. Come clean to the board. He laughed, bitter and sharp. And tank Ethicor before we even launch? Maya, we're this close to that Series A. You want to be the ethical crusader who starves us out. I paced, rain streaking the windows like accusations. Calling the cops meant headlines. Stanford's starlet sync startup. It'd kill my rep before it started. Paint me as the rigid idealist who couldn't hack the real world. Derek knelt then, eyes wet, the picture of vulnerability. I need you, May. We fix this quiet. You take the hit, say it was a junior dev error. Your oversight. I'll make it right. Double your equity. Name you CTO for life. Stupid, right? But he was the first guy who'd seen me as more than a diversity checkbox. And the alternative? Watching our dream die in some SEC dumpster fire. So I did it. Falsified the logs myself. Buried the evidence under layers of plausible deniability. Told the board it was my learning curve as lead engineer. They bought it slap on the wrist. A quiet repayment plan. And Ethicor sailed on. Derek got clean. Or so I thought. We hit 1 million users in beta. Landed that New York whale, Victor Hale, the reclusive VC who'd made his bones shorting subprime mortgages in '08 and never looked back. Hale's interest was a miracle. He'd emailed me personally after reading my TEDx talk on algorithmic justice, saying my work reminded him of the ghosts he couldn't outrun. Derek handled the hype, but Hale kept circling back to me in our Zooms, probing questions about my moral compass. Like he was interviewing my soul. Ethics isn't a feature. Maya, he'd say, voice gravelly over the line. It's the firewall. I lapped it up, blind to the hook sinking deeper. Fast forward to pitch day. The Hale Group's offices in the Salesforce Tower. All glass and ego. Overlooking a city that chews up dreamers and spits out husks. I'd poured everything into that deck. Demos of our bias detection engine saving a fictional bank's loan algorithms from redlining minorities. Projections hitting unicorn status by year 3. Derek sat shotgun, nodding like he owned the vision. 30 execs. Hale, at the head like a silver-haired sphinx. Slide 12. The human cost. I was midway through a story about a single mom denied a mortgage because of a zip code glitch when Derek's hand shot up. Hold up. Team. The room froze. He stood, mic in hand, and unloaded. Maya's passion is admirable. But let's be real. This project's hemorrhaged time on pipe dreams while core tech lags. I've covered for her late deliverables. Budget overruns, but we're pivoting. Effective now. I'm sole CEO. And Maya's. Relieved of duties. Relieved. Like I was a faulty widget. The board emails he'd leaked to Hale that morning? Doctored. Painting me as the embezzler who'd tanked our first round. My confession from months back. Twisted into solo sabotage. Gasps turned to murmurs. Wait. The ethics girl? That's cold. Security loomed by the elevators. Beefy guys in ill-fitting suits. I should have screamed. Should have pulled up the real logs on the shared drive. But shock glued my tongue. Hale leaned forward. His eyes sharp. Unreadable, fixing on me. I asked for Maya Reyes by name, he said. Voice cutting the chaos like a scalpel. Not this sideshow. Where's she going? Derek stammered. Victor. This is for the best. Hale waved him off. Out. Not to me, to Derek. The room held its breath as Hale stood, all 6'4" of him, and extended a hand to me. MS. Reyes. Walk with me. We ended up in his corner office. Floor-to-ceiling views of the Golden Gate shrouded in fog. He poured scotch neat. No ice and slid a glass my way. Heard the full story from a birdie. Your birdie? Actually. That confession? It was his mess. Wasn't it? I blinked. Throat tight. How? People talk. And I listen. He settled into a leather chair that probably cost more than my rent. Derek Hale, my nephew, by the way, has a habit of burning bridges he didn't build. But you took the fall. Why? Nephew. The word landed like a glitch. I'd been pitching to family drama because I believed in us. In this, I gestured vaguely at the city below, lights flickering like faulty code. Hale nodded.
Slow.
Ethics isn't free.
Maya. But revenge?
That's the real algorithm. Input betrayal. Output ruin. The question is, you got the stomach for it. I sipped the scotch. Fire blooming in my chest. What if I do? He smiled then, thin and knowing. Then we rewrite the code. Together. That night, in my shoebox apartment in the Mission, walls thin enough to hear the taqueria downstairs frying carnitas, I unpacked the drive. Not just backups. Hale's birdie had slipped me the motherlode. Derek's offshore trails. Not just the CFO skim, but a Ponzi-light scheme, funneling Ethicore funds into a crypto scam he'd cooked up with Russian bots.
Milio.
And the kicker? He'd used my ethics platform's backdoor, irony of ironies, to launder it, tweaking the audit code I'd written to flag clean on his dirty trails. Rage settled in like fog off the bay, thick and unyielding. I could have gone public, fed it to the Chronicle or Wired. But that'd make me the snitch, the bitter ex who torched the house to spite the roommates.
No.
Hale was right. Revenge needed finesse. A slow burn, the kind that leaves scars no one's talking about. First move, play dead. I ghosted the tech scene. Let Derek's pivot narrative spin. Bold leadership change at Ethicore splashed across TechCrunch. He closed the Hale round solo. $50 mil wired by week's end. Champagne tweets. All hands toasts. I watched from afar, nursing black coffee in dive bars, sketching my counter app on napkins. Hale funded the shadow op from his personal slush, a ghost server farm in Reno. Me coding under the alias Echo. Echo's tool? A digital mirror to Ethicore's, but weaponized. It didn't just audit bias, it amplified it. Subtly. For those who deserved the echo of their own hypocrisy. Derek's first hit came soft, a glitch in his new ad campaign targeting low-income users with predatory loans. The algorithm pushing rates 2% higher for zip codes like mine. Regulators noticed. Fines trickled in. Whispers of systemic issues. He flipped then. The first mass crack. Called me at 2 a.m. Voice slurry from whatever he drowned in. Maya. Baby. This is insane.
Come back.
We need you. I let it ring. Recorded every plea. The second flip, lawyers. Cease and desist for IP theft, claiming Echo was my sour grapes knockoff. Cute. Until Hale's team countersued with the drive's evidence, enough to bury him in discovery hell. But Derek was slippery. Always had been. He pivoted again, leaked my instability to the Valley Grapevine, post-breakup meltdown.
Folks. Sad.
But necessary. Friends ghosted. Mentors emailed sympathies, laced with distance. Isolation gnawed, but so did purpose. Late nights blurred into code sprints, fueled by bodega burritos and spite. Hale checked in weekly, his office a neutral ground of cigar smoke and chessboards.
He's cornered, he'd say.
Moving a pawn. But cornered men bite. He bit hard. The doxing hit mid-July. Anonymous boards lighting up with my address. My mom's old number from East LA. Even a deep fake vid of me confessing to corporate espionage. Trolls swarmed, threats in my inbox. A brick through my window etched with traitor. I moved to a Fleabag motel in Oakland. Blinds drawn. Paranoia, my new OS. Derek's handiwork. No doubt, hiring black hat hackers from his crypto Rolodex. That's when the doubt crept in. Was I becoming him? Echo wasn't saving the world anymore. It was a scalpel, carving personal vendettas. Hale noticed. Over bourbon one dusk. Second thoughts. Every day, I admitted. But he started it. Took my fall. My code. My shot. Hale's laugh was dry as dust. And now, you're taking his. Cycle's a bitch. Maya. Break it. Or own it. I owned it. Pushed Echo harder. Infiltrated Ethicor's board chats. Seeded doubts about Derek's vision. A fake whistleblower email, traced to nowhere, dropped the offshore bombshell to select VCs. Stocks dipped. Partners bailed. Derek's public face cracked on a podcast, ranting about feminazi saboteurs in tech. Backlash exploded. Cancel Derek trended. Sponsors fled. He was unraveling. Live on X. The climax brewed in September. Hale's annual summit in Napa, vineyards rolling like green code under autumn sun. Invite only. Power players toasting the future over Cabernet flights. Derek crashed it, desperate for a lifeline, schmoozing like a man on fire. I was there too, undercover as Hale's consultant, black dress, and a wig that itched like guilt. He spotted me across the tasting room, mid-sip of a 17 Petit Verdot. Froze. Glass trembling. You. The room hushed as he stormed over. Voice a venomous whisper. This you're doing? Echo? The leaks. I met his eyes.
Steady.
You fired me mid-pitch.
Derek.
In front of everyone. This is just the encore. He lunged, not violent, but close, grabbing my wrist hard enough to bruise. You think you're better? I made you. That confession? Your choice. You weak. Hale materialized, hand on Derek's shoulder like a vice. Nephew. Walk away. But Derek twisted free. Face purple. She's poison. Stole everything. My ideas. My money. Lies piled on lies. The room a jury of whispers. Phones out. Recording. I could have let it drop. Walked away clean. But the wrist throbbed. A echo of every compromise. So I dropped the real bomb. Tapped my phone, live feed to the summit's Jumbotron. Echo's final run. Ethicor's full ledger. Projected in damning green columns. Schemes. Launders. My buried confession highlighted like neon. Gasps rippled. Real this time. Derek's empire. Pixelated and public.
He shattered then.
Sank to his knees amid the vines. Sobbing, ugly. Snotty cries that humanized him in the worst way.
Maya. Please.
I was scared. The debts. The pressure, it wasn't me. The room split. Some execs nodding sympathy. Everyone folds under stress. Others glaring at me. Ruthless. She's as bad as he is. Hale watched. Neutral. As security hauled Derek out. Cameras flashed. Tomorrow's headlines. Tech darlings fall. Betrayal or justice? I slipped away as the sun dipped. Wine turning bitter on my tongue. Victory? It felt like ash. Weeks blurred into a haze of fallout. The Chronicle ran a 3-pager. The ethics enigma. Maya's revenge or Derek's reckoning? Pundits picked sides. Valley VCs called me a necessary disruptor, while feminist pods decried the catfight framing that erased my grind. Derek vanished into rehab upstate, some plush facility in the Adirondacks where rich boys go to find clarity. His lawyers circled. Settlement offers landing like olive branches laced with NDAs. I ignored them. holing up in Hale's guest house overlooking the Russian River, temporary sanctuary. He called it. Heal.
Maya.
Then decide. Healing wasn't on the menu. Nightmares looped the pitch room. Derek's voice echoing. You're out. I'd wake sweating. Check Echo's logs obsessively. The app had gone viral post-summit, forked by activists auditing police cams and HR bots. Good karma? Maybe. But the wrist bruise faded slower than the doubts. Hale played the long game. As always. Mornings. We'd hike the bluffs. Him in Lululemon that screamed old money. Me in thrift store Nikes. He'd drop lore like breadcrumbs, how he built his fund on '08 carrion, profiting off foreclosures that gutted neighborhoods like mine. Morality's a luxury, he'd say, pausing at a vista. I chose survival. You. I deflect, but it gnawed. Echo was my baby, twisted into a blade. And Derek, had I pushed too far? That Napa breakdown replayed in clips, humanizing him to the masses. Fallen founder seeks redemption, went the spin. Donations poured into his mental health initiative, rebranded Ethicore Scraps. The flip came via email. Innocuous at first, a job offer from a rival firm in Austin. Lead ethicist. $300,000 base. Let's build clean. Signed, Victor Hale. I laughed. Him poaching me? But the attachment, a dossier on Derek's post-rehab glow-up. Sober Derek. Charming panels on toxic ambition, dating a podcast host who amplified his growth arc. And buried deep, a new venture. Phoenix Core. Rising from Ethicore's ashes, with my code forked, uncredited, as its spine. Rage 2.0.
Hotter.
Sharper. He'd stolen my Phoenix. Hale's office that afternoon. Fire crackling against October chill. He's baiting you, Hale said. Swirling bourbon. Don't bite. But it's mine. Is it? Code's communal.
Maya.
Like blood, once spilled. It stains everything. I left fuming. Drove the winding roads till tires screamed. Back home, Hale's home. Not mine. I dusted off Echo's kill switch. Not destruction, evolution. A worm. Self-replicating. Tuned to Derek's vanity metrics. It'd infiltrate Phoenix Core's beta. Not crash it, but corrupt, amplify biases in hiring algos. Favor white-sounding resumes by 15%. Subtle enough for deniability. Loud enough to torch his redemption tour. Launch night. I hit send from a VPN in Tahoe. Watched the metrics tick. First flagged higher. A qualified black engineer bumped for a cultural fit bro from Yale. Regulators ping by dawn. Another glitch, but this one stuck. Derek's X feed lit up. Sabotage. Maya's ghost haunting us again. The backlash boomeranged. Protests outside my old office. Now Phoenix's signs reading, Justice for Derek, stop the witch hunt. His podcast girl went viral. Maya's not a hero. She's a harpy. Death threats escalated. I got a bodyguard. Courtesy of Hale. A stoic ex-Marine named Ruiz who drove like he was evading paparazzi. Isolation deepened. Mom called from LA. Voice thick with worry.
Mia.
This ain't you. Revenge? It's eating you alive. She's a nurse. Hands calloused from our shifts. The woman who'd smuggled me across borders at 5, so I could chase American dreams. Let it go. Build something new. But new felt like surrender. Hale sensed the fracture. Invited me to his vineyard estate for Thanksgiving. Irony. A man with no family hosting the betrayed. Turkey was organic. Sides farm to table. But the real feast was his library, walls of first editions, a chessboard mid-game. Over pie, he laid it bare. You're winning.
Maya.
But at what cost? Derek's broken again. You're a specter. I pushed pie crumbs. Fork scraping china. He deserves it. Took my fall. My life. Did he? Hale's eyes. Sharp as ever. Or did you hand it over? That confession, your choice. Echo's blade? Yours too. The words landed like a system crash. I stormed out, Ruiz trailing, into a nor'easter whipping the vines. Drove blind, wipers slapping, till I pulled over at a diner off Route 1, neon open, flickering like a dare.
Inside.
Truckers hunched over hash. A jukebox crooning Springsteen. I ordered coffee. Black. And scrolled Derek's latest, a tearful IG live from rehab alumni night. I hurt Maya badly. Owned it.
Now.
With Phoenix, I'm making amends. For her, for us all. Lies. But the vulnerability?
Crack something.
Viewers ate it up, comments flooding with redemption arc. Forgive and forget.
Me?
I saw the flip. Victim Derek. Martyr pose. My worm hit critical mass that night. Phoenix's algo redlining gig economy drivers. Underpaying Latinos by cents that added up to thousands. EOC sued by morning. Derek's tour canceled. Sponsors bolting like rats. He called then blocked number. Voice raw.
Maya.
Stop. Please. It's not just me anymore. There's a kid. A kid? My brain buffered. What? Pregnant. My podcast girl. We're trying family. Clean slate. You're destroying that. The line went dead. I sat in the diner till dawn. Coffee cold. World tilting. Hale's words echoed. Cycle's a bitch. Had I become the monster? Echo wasn't justice. It was vendetta. Collateral be damned. But doubt warred with fire. I drove back. Confronted Hale at dawn. Estate lights glowing like a war room. Tell me you didn't know. About the baby. He poured coffee. Unhurried.
Guessed.
Doesn't change facts. Derek's a chameleon. Husband now. If it'll save him.
And me?
What am I? He handed me the mug. Steam curling like secrets. The wild card. Pull the plug on Echo. Or ride it to the end. Your call. I chose the end. One last push. Expose the pregnancy pivot as PR. Leak comms showing Derek coaching his girl on sob stories for max sympathy. It dropped anonymous. Timed for his big comeback keynote at CES in Vegas. Stage lights hot. Crowd electric. Thousands live streaming as the screens glitched. My comms scrolling like indictment. Derek faltered mid-sentence. Face draining.
This
is forgery. But the crowd turned, boos rippling. Then chants. Liar. Liar. He fled backstage. Mic dropping with a thud heard, round the web. I watched from Hale's suite. Champagne flute trembling. Victory. Hollow as bone. The Vegas implosion was the apex. But apexes crumble fast. CES aftershocks hit like seismic waves. Phoenix core shuttered overnight. Derek's assets frozen pending fraud probes. His girl, Lila, the podcaster, went radio silent. Then public, a tearful Substack post about emotional abuse from both sides. positioning herself as the real victim. Maya's vendetta trapped us all, she wrote. Subscribers surged. Book deal rumors swirled. Derek? He lawyered up, countersuing for defamation. Dragging my name through mud, I thought I'd escaped. Hale pulled strings, quiet donations to my legal fund, whispers to prosecutors, but even he drew lines. It's devolving.
Maya.
From chess to checkers. Walk away. I couldn't. The drive back to the valley was a funeral procession, billboards mocking with Phoenix logos long faded. Mom flew up, hugged me in the airport like I was 10 again. Enough.
Mia.
This war's poisoned you. We drove to her hotel in a lift. Her hand on mine. Stories of her own betrayals, abusive ex, deported dreams. Revenge? It don't bring back what's lost. Only buries you deeper. Her words stuck. But so did the scars, the pitch room humiliation, the docks nights, the code I'd birthed now orphan. I nodded. Promised therapy. But solo. In the guest house. I cracked a final beer and fired up the archives. That's when the twist hit, not a glitch, but a ghost in the machine. Echo's logs. Cross-referenced, anomalies I'd missed in the rage. Hale's Bertie, not some insider, it was him. Seeding the drive from day one. And the funding? Not clean VC, tied to his 08 shorts. Laundering through Ethicor proxies. Derek's scam? Enabled by Hale's offshore nudges. A family hustle to keep the empire afloat. My confession? They'd banked on it. Me as the patsy to absorb the heat. Betrayal squared.
Hale.
The mentor. The Avengers' ally. Puppet master all along. I'd been his echo. Amplifying his sins while chasing Derek's shadow. Confrontation brewed over Christmas Eve brandy. Estate decks strung with lights that mocked the dark. Snow dusted the vines, rare for Cali. Like nature's apology. You played me, I said. Voice steady as I laid out the logs. From the pitch. Knew about the skim. Let Derek dangle me as bait. Hale didn't flinch. Just swirled his snifter. Perceptive.
Maya.
But incomplete. Derek was sinking us, my fund, his inheritance. You were the variable, pure, ethical. By taking his fall, you validated the pivot. Clean books. My capital flows uninterrupted. And Echo? My revenge. He chuckled. Low.
A gift.
Exposed him.
Yes.
But also scrubbed my trails. Your worm ate the evidence linking back to me. Win-win. Rage boiled. But colder now. Algorithmic. You used me. Like he did. Darling. Everyone's used. Question is,
What now?
sue me? I'll bury you in counters.
Or.
He trailed off, eyes gleaming. Join the board. Real power. Ethicor 2.0. Your ethics at the helm. We rewrite history. The offer hung. Seductive as sin. Power to fix the biases I'd unleashed. Scale good on a Hale budget. But the cost? Swallow the lie. Become the flipper, antagonist in my own tale. Mom's voice echoed. Don't bury yourself deeper. Derek's trial loomed, January. Federal court in San Jose. I testified. Truth serum in my veins. The confession. The code theft. The Napa shove. He sat across. Hollow-eyed. No more masks. Lila testified, too. Their unborn kid a silent juror. The room split again, prosecutors painting him predator. Defense his pressured prodigy.
Me?
The wild card witness. Cross-examined into vindictive X territory. Verdict: guilty on wire fraud. 5 years upstate. No slap, real bars. Lila got the settlement scraps. Custody unchallenged. As cuffs clicked, Derek locked eyes, not hate, but pity. You won.
Maya.
But at what price? Out in the courthouse steps, flashbulbs popped like accusations. Reporters swarmed. Regrets? Hero or villain? I pushed through, Ruiz shielding, till Hale's town car idled curbside.
Door open.
His silhouette beckoning. I paused. Bay fog rolling in like judgment. Mom waited at the airport. A flight to new starts. Echo's code. Deletable with a keystroke. Or Hale's board seat. Empire at my fingertips, controversial decisions included. The twist? There was no clean win. Revenge hadn't freed me. It had forked me into paths neither right nor wrong. Just inevitable. I chose the fog, slid into the car. Hale's smile approving. Wise girl. But as we merged onto 101, I palmed my phone, thumb hovering over delete. The kid, Derek's, Lila's, deserved a world without our echoes. Maybe I could code that. Or maybe I'd burn it all. Start from scratch. The algorithm's undecided.
For now.
The highway hums. And I'm still driving.